All right, welcome to the Default Profitable Podcast. You're listening to the next episode. Today we're going to focus on what it takes to start, run, and grow a business. That's a lot of fun. We'll be hearing some stories, some successes, some failures from a real business owner. I'm your host, Matt Nettleton, and today our guest is Andrew Johnson. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. I'm actually looking forward to this based on the email correspondence we had ahead of time. So why don't we do this? You and I haven't really talked, but why don't we take 2 or 3 minutes, introduce yourself personally, and then we can talk about your business. How's that sound?
Sounds great. So I'm Andrew Johnson, Drew Johnson. I'm one of the founders at Northbrook Brewing in Arcadia, Indiana. I co-founded it with my wife, Jennifer, and one of my best friends, Michael. And we opened a brewery to bring great beer to Hamilton County. I handle quite a bit of everything, as most small business owners do, helping with brewing, handling books, paying bills, payroll, taxes, food orders, HR. Every day is kind of a little mix of different kind of chaos and creativity.
So when did you start your brewery?
We will be 2 years in August.
So August
when
of
we
23.
officially open. Yeah.
Okay. When did you start working on it?
So Michael and I have known each other for about 30 years.
Okay.
And we've been brewing together for probably about 17. And kind of ever since that first Mr. Beer batch we did, at his mom's place, we've always talked about it. But we really got serious about it probably in about 2018. We started working on a business plan and kind of, feeling out my wife and making sure she might be okay with it.
And so obviously she was.
Yeah, she ended up being okay with it. So I was a teacher for 11 years. I was a special education teacher around Indianapolis and Hamilton County, a couple different schools. And I was getting burnt out on it. It was a lot. It was heavy. It was a lot to take home every night. I'm sure you know all the teacher stories. It's, you work 9 hours during the day and then another 6 hours at night at home, especially with special education, a lot of paperwork. And I was getting to a point where I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it for another 30 years. So Michael and I got together and started really working on a pretty serious business plan. That's how that went.
So you said before you started working on the business plan in 2018.
Uh-huh.
Did it become more serious at some point after 2018, or was it just a natural evolution?
Well, so we had always talked about it. Michael, when he was in college, he went to school in Chicago. He had wrote a business plan for a class for a brewery specifically. And that whole time we were brewing together. The whole brewery kind of came from Michael went to school in Chicago. I went to school at Butler with my wife, Jenny. And every time there was any sort of break, Michael and I would brew a beer. And then, the next break we'd have a house party because I lived in South Broad Ripple and all our buddies would come drink the beer. So we always had some kind of like shell of a business plan. And we got legit about it in 2018 to see if it would really be feasible, if it was something we could do.
And it took you 5 years to get to the point where you were comfortable jumping in with both feet and going all the way.
Yeah. It really, we actually originally had a building that we were working on renovating in Alexandria, Indiana, which is like just outside Anderson. And it was a really cool building. The guys who owned it were big beer fans, so they were excited about getting a brewery in their town. And then that was the summer 2019. We're working on it. I'm still teaching. Mike at the time was working for Anheuser-Busch as a distributor. My wife's a pharmacist, so we're all busy. And then all of a sudden the world kind of just stopped in 2020. Yeah. And, we freaked out as, in the process of opening a brewery, and literally every bar, restaurant, brewery is closed. And we're like, well, maybe we should put a pause on this.
Might want to think about this.
Yeah, like is this gonna get better? Are things gonna go back to normal, quote unquote? But So we put a pause on it, and during the kind of the lockdown and the pandemic, and during that time, the guys who owned that building ended up selling it. So that put a big halt on everything. We were bummed. Um, Ended up, kept on teaching. Mike kept on working for Anheuser-Busch. Uh, all the while, we kept looking for a new building. I ended up finding this one in Arcadia, which is 15, 20 minutes north of where I live at in Carmel. And it kind of fit the bill for what we needed.
So it sounds like from when you were like 18, brewing
Yeah,
beer was something that you enjoyed. I'm
yeah,
assuming drinking beer is also a favorite.
yeah. So, it actually comes. So Mike and I couldn't find somebody to buy us beer, and we figured out we could buy all the ingredients. Um, and Northbrook is actually the neighborhood he grew up in.
Okay.
So we always brewed in his mom's garage. She was a single mom. She was nice, and she was a little looser rules than at my house. um, she was awesome, and she let us brew in the garage. And we had done that since 19, and then we kept doing it through college. And it's always been kind of a passion, as far as I was, always liked beer. It was always fun. I don't know if I ever really liked beer, if I just liked being around people drinking and kind of the ritual that goes along with it. Uh, but as we learned more about brewing, getting serious about it, it became more and more fun.
So you mentioned a couple times that you had a business plan. Well, he wrote a business plan in school. You really
Yep.
got serious about it in 2018. You really
Yep.
refined it after that.
Mhm.
Um, what when you look back to when you started your business, what
Mhm.
didn't your business plan get right?
What didn't it get right? I mean, most of the financials. As far as we were we were pretty I don't know, a little shocked by the numbers. I mean, we had a general idea of what we would like to do or what we thought was possible. Um, but sales in general, just being here all the time and seeing what it's like, it's hard to see the big picture of the whole year of sales. When you're drowning every week. So I think that was a big one. The original business plan was heavily focused on distribution, and not on the tap room. A lot of the breweries, small town breweries that we did kind of market research on, and just the ones in Indianapolis, distribution was their main source of income. That was also the original business plan. Was we started 2010, so the world was very different, especially for breweries. Um, so I think that was one of the things that we rightfully adjusted, in the updated version of the business plan in like 2019, 2022, whatever it was.
Mhm. And after you started, what did you discover that you needed to learn that you didn't know about owning a tap room, owning a business, owning
And accounting, just it's so much different than kind of what I was anticipating as far as cash flows and P&Ls and just balancing your cost of goods with your labor and all these things. Factoring in your overhead into your cost of goods for the brewery for brewing. Didn't realize water was going to be so expensive.
who knew?
Yeah, right. Water in a small town is a hot commodity apparently. Um, but I would say so. I had always worked in bars and restaurants, all through college. I was a cook in Basbo's. I bartended for a small little local place, kind of by my parents' house. So I understood.
And what was the name of the small little local place?
It's called the Rusty Bucket. It's out of Ohio, but it's like a small chain of like 10 or so restaurants, and
Yeah.
that's the only one in Indiana. Um, but I started out there when they first opened as a server, and then moved up into bartending and kept doing that. A little bit post graduation, till my wife told me I had to get a real job, and then here we are. So I understood that, but it's all the back end stuff that I didn't really. Just like everybody else, I thought I had a good grasp on what it would be like, and I did not know.
Yeah, it's funny. So this is episode 140 or whatever, but the
Hmm.
number one thing that people cite is financial literacy. Just the
Mhm.
whole accounting, cost of goods, how do you keep track of this? How do you manage cash flow?
Yep.
That's been 100%
Well,
almost.
it's just it's so different from I thought it'd be much similar to personal finance. It is
Yeah,
not.
at
Like
all.
like, so luckily we have, a pretty great network of people that we're able to reach out to, which is another thing that if you're going to do a small business, have a network of people that you can talk to about different things. My mom had a friend who is a retired accountant who still does books for a lot of small businesses. So she was amazing. She gave us the family and friends discount and ran through all of our books and helped me get my QuickBooks in order so that when things, went through our bank account, it automatically did it and I didn't have to go through it, going through at the end of the month and clicking what everything is. And you see all the things that you spent money on. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
What was I
It
thinking?
was really nice having someone like that to, ask for advice, ask for help, run ideas by.
And then, you know, you're not exactly starting in a, blue ocean without competitors.
No, there's a couple other breweries out there.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's a brewery in fact, one of our prior episodes, I think you listened to it. The
Yeah,
person started their business because they believed that craft beer was overdone in 2009, and there could never be another brewery.
yeah, and that's how many times have I heard that?
Yeah.
But I do like, and I think that's why our business plan changed. People had an idea of what a craft brewery is or needs to be, um, and it doesn't need to be this regional brewery that makes 40,000 barrels of beer a year and has 1,000 employees and $40 million in income. That's not what we are trying to be, or not what we think we're ever going to be. So I think that was something that we got right. We found a community that was kind of lacking in a community space. There's a couple little businesses around here. There's a lot of little small towns that don't have anything like this. We're family friendly. We have, we constantly host events. We do an open mic night every Wednesday. We have live trivia every Thursday. We have bands throughout the summer. We have a space in the back that has a pool table and dartboards and games for kids. So we just, I think we were able to find a space that even in a quote unquote saturated market, there's still a need for certain things that a brewery can offer.
Alright. So, when you have friends that are sitting
Mhm.
around with you having a beer, and
Yeah.
they say, "You know what? I'm thinking of getting out of the megacorp. I wanna run my own place like you. This looks fun."
Yep.
I'm sure that's happened
Oh, every now and then. Yep.
every now and then. How
Every
do
now.
you handle that conversation? What do you say to them?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's the standard, it's find something that I think that you think you would enjoy. Not only that, find something that you're really good at that other people maybe aren't. Um, for me, I'm all the time in the brewery, customer facing, guest facing, interacting, and that's kind of my strong suit is just making people come in and feel comfortable. Um, so find something that you're really good at, something you can do a little bit differently than everybody else, um, and kind of be mentally prepare yourself to take a major pay cut.
Alright.
uh,
Oh, you make it sound so attractive.
yeah, right. It is, but it's fun. Mike and I always joke. It is the absolute most stressed out I've ever been in my life, but it's also absolutely the most fun I've ever had. Working. It is. I feel like it's very rewarding. Which is interesting because my previous job was also very rewarding. Um, but this is it's fills a similar void for me. So it's nice to be able to offer something to a community that was lacking it.
Alright. So I guess here's what I'd like to hear you talk about just a little bit.
Mhm.
You're 2 years in
Yep.
of running a full-time on-premise business where you're elbows deep in everything. If 2025 Andy or Drew could go back Sorry about that. I screw up names all the time.
Edit
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna edit that out, and it's gonna say, "Hey, 2025 Drew could go back and talk to 2022 Drew or 2023 Drew the night
Right,
before you open for the first day." And you
right.
gotta talk about what do you focus on first? Where do you start? What's the advice?
If we could talk to previous me, I mean, and the big thing we had we had really good financials. I think I would have done much more research and learning about marketing and marketing specifically small businesses and to your local community. That's something that is such a large part of it, just people being able to find us since we're in Hamilton County, but we're about 20 minutes from all the bigger cities. And so it is, what are some good ways to do that? How could we do that better? um I think initially, like, setting up, our opening week, I feel like we ended up we had a great opening day. I had a lot of friends who were teachers who helped out, who were also really good with people, so that's nice. But, just after that initial boost, and starting off good, like, all right, how do you keep that momentum going is what I would have been talking to myself about.
Okay. All right, any advice that you give for somebody that's brand new, that's 2 years behind you, or even, somebody that's just starting to think about it, aspiring to own a business?
Uh, my advice would be to be patient, and be thorough. Um, you know, I always, especially for in the business we're in, it's we sell beer, we sell food, we're a restaurant, but also a manufacturing facility. So it's a weird mix of we have three separate businesses that we run. We have a restaurant tap room, we have a manufacturing brewery, and then we do some small distribution around northern Hamilton County, and those are all very different. And
Yeah.
so I would be patient, do your research, make sure that it's going to be financially viable, or that you're in a spot where you don't need to take money out of the brewery or out of the business, that you're able to put back into it, for those first couple years, and invest in yourself.
All right. That's probably a pretty good little piece of advice there to be patient. Everything takes longer and costs more than you expect it to.
Oh yeah, we learned that during the build out.
Oh,
We
yeah.
we were we got the building in 2021. We were originally going to be open in summer 2022, and then yeah, 2 years later, 24 months, 25 months. And so, yeah, it's everything, it takes time, and that's the big thing with this is, it's nice, if you have a partner that you really, really trust, not only just them personally and financially, but you trust their advice and kind of their goal. Make sure you're aligned. I've heard a lot that, business partners don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But I do think there's a way to go about it, um, that that works. It's really nice to work with somebody that we can bounce ideas off each other. That, when I have a shitty idea that I think's great, he's like, you know, absolutely not, man. or, we have an idea for a beer and we can kind of work it out together and hash it out, or, a new sandwich or whatever it is. That's
Yeah.
been really nice.
Yeah. Having somebody that you're going through it with is good. I will say I'm amazed that your business plan, was even moderately close to what you ended up with. So that's
We took a long time on it. We talked to a lot of people about it. I read every book I could find about small business and breweries, which all at the time are very outdated. Um, they're all, when everybody was printing money, opening breweries in 2006, they were like, yeah, it's great. Just do it. So I do think that's also something that my wife, was able to help with a lot, is kind of helping me and Mike keep our heads on, and like, we're like, oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make, 2,000 barrels the first year, and have over $1 million in revenue. It's gonna be great. She's like, well, how about we plan for worst case scenario? And,
Yes.
like, let's shoot for, like, what's the goal? What's the minimum of what we need to make to, not lose our house? Um, and that which was super helpful. So, our business plan, our financials had, when we broke them all down, we had, realistically what we thought we could do, best case scenario and worst case scenario. And we ended up just under realistic.
That's good.
So, we still had numbers that we could work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that is also important because no business owner, and I've been working with small business owners for 23 years now. I've never had a small business owner come to me and say, "I've got this mediocre idea,
Right.
and it's barely gonna make it, but you're gonna love it." Right? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's, "Hey, we're gonna do $1,000,000 of this, we're gonna 7" no, you're not.
No. No. No, you're
So,
not. Yeah, so but, I mean, it's fun, especially being 2 years in. I'm kinda, there, that first year is so crazy. You're so busy. And I got 2 little kids, so trying to balance opening and running a small business, with family is also another piece of advice. Like, be prepared for that. Like, be able to have some tough conversations. Um, so that, I mean, was just crazy. So, but rolling into what's going to be year 3 here in a couple months is, I can see that it's going well. We've built a really good community of people that enjoy our space, like our beer, like our story, and we have a really great group of regular guests that, make it a point to stop by and have a pint every week. Whether it's just right after
perfect.
work, or they bring their family in, and get a sandwich or a flatbread. They attend our events. They ask us how we're doing. They're genuinely concerned and want us to succeed. So I think that's a big part of why we're doing anywhere near as good as we are.
Perfect. Well, let's wrap up. I mean, that's a great place to laugh because that's the feel good part of the story.
It is to feel good. It is to feel good. Like, I can almost see the light.
Yes.
I went from sinking to, I'm treading water now, and pretty soon I'm hoping to swim.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, if anybody wants to learn more about you, there's going to be links in the show notes, including a link to your website and Yelp or Open Table if you take reservations.
Mhm.
Hey, and for people who are listening to the podcast, 3 ways you can help. You can leave a review on the podcast wherever you're listening. You can hit subscribe, or you can share an episode. Drew, thanks for being a guest.
No worries. I appreciate it, man. A lot of
All
fun.
right. And for our listeners, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode. Till then, stay focused, keep working, stay profitable.